Hello guys, welcome back to another episode. Today I am going to be building a church. Church is a little bit of a overstatement. It's more like a chapel. It's quite small, but the idea is this is going to be where the slightly more richer folk of Wintershold would be going for their services. I've decided to put it here, just in front of where the portcullis for up the main keep. You see me just designing how I want to do it out of orange wool currently. I wanted two doorways, a tower and large glass windows. It's took me a while to design it. It's not very it's not the best designed church in the world because it's very flat. It's quite small as well, which makes it even harder. But it's only a just a small, just to fill the scapping. It's one of the religious buildings on inside the actual city itself. As I've got another one. Not another church, but I've got a small monastery. I'm going to put in the gated little piece of area just behind these, just further down on the other layer. I will be building that and finishing off this, because how long it took me to build this and edit it, I decided to it was going to be easier if I just do two separate videos where I've just finished some of the detail of this, or as well as where I will be starting on the monastery further down inside the city. You see, I had to cut away some of the land, just some of the cliff face, just to fit it in, using wood edit as well, just to map it out and setting the blocks to air. Took a while just to cut into design how I wanted it to look like. As you can see me doing right now. So I've got the basic principle of how I want it. This has windows on the sides where it can actually have windows with a space. This little, it's not really a tower, it's been added on afterwards. As you see me building now. Has I wanted the front to be more rounded, where the windows will be placed, and it's a block higher than the rest of the build, the main floor. You see me just modify it ever so slightly. I'm just adding another window above the doorways. This is where I'm just thinking how I'm going to place these windows. And because of it being so close to a the cliff face, I've just used wood edit to finish it off. The three or four sides. That's you can see quickly just doing it, removing the blocks of the cliff face gradually. I'm removing the corners as well. I wanted to remove these so later you will see why I removed it. It rains a lot in this build, I'm sorry. Apparently it's still raining through the audio, but it's not. I've already turned that off. You see me now modifying that little window piece, moving only the front blocks forward, one block, to make it more of a rounded shape. Extending it up one block. I had the weird idea of just putting a roof framework in, but I do remove it, most of it, later on, because I've decided to change the roof completely. Yeah, it's design choices for the build. I wanted the roof more shallow than it was, so it fitted with the rest of Wintershold. So after modifying how I am going to place the blocks for the supports for the roof, I had to modify the walls as well. You can see me just running back and forth doing it. Adding using oak logs just to add support beams. These will be modified later on in the next video. And now we will be. I'm just checking out if I like it or not. Modifying a few bits here and there. Then we will be straight inside where I'm going to be removing the floor. In the floor, I'll put some magenta wool in each corner after obviously removing a few layers. I do modify it so it's a layer deeper because I want to add some support beams, and using blue wool I am going to do a different foundation. This is just going to be a stone brick foundation, a mixture of different stone bricks and textures instead of the usual textures I would use. The orange wool will be the other city like texture that I've been known to use for both the barracks and for that little tower just above this. Just planning out where I wanted these support pillars. I do mess up with one row of the columns somewhere. You see me go back and modify it. So you just knock a doorway in just there. This is the entrance into this cellar. I may have some gravestones. It's more like going to be a you see me just removing that of a piece of floor, changing everything to blue wall. I wanted to put it as where all the vicars or priests will be buried, straight under, with a little like a storage area. See me just changing the floor to yellow wall, because that's going to be a different texture completely as well. Now you see where I've messed up the pillars, even more rain as well. I've sorted that out, my little mistake. Now I am toying with the designs, how I'm going to do the archways between each. These hold what the floor up. So, just playing around with half slabs, trapdoors and the vertical half slabs, as well as the what is it called? The stone brick curved blocks. To see how I wanted it. It's all for naught, unfortunately, as I would have to remodify it and drop everything down one level. My reasons why are that I wanted more ceiling clearance instead of a block, then the ceiling or the ground floor. It would be 2 blocks, then the ground floor. See me just running around placing all the blocks I need. These are vertical half slabs, and going around with trapdoors as well. I was going to copy and paste these. I guess I just got too busy in the moment just placing them all, manually building them. But it took a long time, I tell you that now. I wish I copied and pasted them, if I'll be honest. It wouldn't have been this long to build them. You see me just toying with the ideas once again, how I'm going to do it. It didn't look right, but I did settle after with the design that I had before. So the reason why these stone arches are connected to these pillars, I'm going to use a wooden, I think they're going to be spruce woods, half slabs and trapdoors, and I'm going to have them bow in between. I can't really say bow, I want them to add some rigidity. Is that basically the whole idea is that they have a wooden brace in the middle that holds the ground floor up. I did it once before. Did something like this once before on the Darwin server, Darwin Reforge. And I did actually have to log off this just so to log on to that server just to see how I did it. That's the worst bit because I couldn't remember. So quick spell of me logging off, logging back on. You will see that in a little while. Me just when I randomly cut the video and I put the floor in after checking how I'm going to do this. So yeah, these are tricky if you don't have if you can't remember how you redo it, so you can remake it. But oh well, it was fun trying to. I know I probably have done it with all the columns, but I like it, that's the main thing. The trapdoors, stone brick trapdoors, because they don't work like the half slabs. You have to place a block above them and place them down. You see me now just modifying the bottoms of the pillars because I have to modify the room and drop everything down one block. Even then I dropped the floor down one block because it was too shallow then. It was not high enough. You would hit your head on a lot of stone and probably knock yourself out. So okay, you see me now just cutting the blocks, dropping one block and pasting them. Adding the blocks back on top that I missed. So it's 2 blocks tall, then the ground floor. You see me now just going here and think, wait a minute, this is too shallow. So I need to drop it another block, as you see me do now. Really, I should have cut everything in that room, even the floor, and dropped it, but I didn't. I just cut the support frames and that's it. That's my fault. But you learn by your mistakes, don't you? I have to quickly turn the rain off. I have to quickly change, replace the stone and mud, the dirt from underneath the walls, back to blue wool. Adding the stone bricks that I removed earlier. Then after that, I think I just modified everything else. After cutting this, obviously. Dropping it a block. I'll finish off that section. That's actually the little storage section I was talking about, where this would store the tables or the spare benches, the spare pews. I've even toyed around with a different idea using sand brick stairs, but it seemed too bulky. So I went back with vertical slabs, only on the ones that you walk round, but the ones on the outside still had the stone brick stairs. I kind of liked that little added detail. Made it more rounded, the walls did. So, just placing all the vertical half slabs. Now, I quickly go onto that server now. Out of nowhere, that's why I seem to randomly jump to the bottom. Then I just use my floor mix, my cellar floor mix. Using different type of bricks, muddy cobblestone, the grey dark brick, I can't remember what it's called. Now I am changing the blue wall for the cellar brick. It's a different stone brick mix made out of stone bricks, bits and pieces. This is where I am starting to dig out to how you get inside the cellar. Just checking how deep it is, and using stone brick curves as well as the trapdoors after breaking another block, allowing it to brace the walls. Just me moving myself, my little cameraman. I do actually go flying, the cameraman does, as I hit my own cameraman, or flying upwards to see if I liked the design. There we go. I had the little duplication there of each scene. That's easily fixed. Or fixed, and you see me just breaking into the actual cellar. Right. Now you see me just setting the walls in this little entrance place. Adding some more of those stone arches and trapdoors around. Okay. Using yellow wall again for the floor. The green wall is only a placeholder for the actual main road texture. I will be adding that in the next video as well. See, that's the dark cobblestone like brick I was talking about. Now inside the actual church, see me just put down this mixture of stone brick, but I decide stone brick, different woods, but I decide to remove it and put it as magenta wall. That's only because I was toying with the idea of using marble instead, but now I do change it afterwards with marble back to the wood blocks. So if you can hear my mouse, I am just trying to double check on my timeline. I'm making sure no more files have decided to duplicate. So after deciding that I wanted to put the wood floor down, I do put that down. As you can see in a bit, after I did the pews. At first I had the pews go this way, but it didn't seem right, so I had them points the other way. Don't know why I decided to put them one way then change it to another, but hey ho. I guess it's, to me at the time it looked a lot better doing them in the other direction. There's also an extra column of pews. For these pews I just used the stairs, the oak woods, I think they're called oak wood chairs, backless chairs, Now you see me changing the floor to that wooden floor mix, dark floor, wooden floor mix. And I am just putting down, getting the slabs that I want. I used 2 different types of slabs. I can't remember them off the top of my head. Just so you can get up into that upper section. Now I am just thinking how I'm going to do this altar. So I got some chiseled, I think it's chiseled quartz. After using oval-ish cables, we use chiseled quartz. Used a variety of that. I went for a very basic design. Then I went for the vertical stairs. The trapdoors was the better idea. Oh, now I'm just looking for the floating book, but it was replaced to block higher, so I removed the trapdoor behind it, but it looked wrong. So after that I got a fancy wooden table, placed it in the middle, put a book and quill down, got the fancy candle like strip, put it in one corner, and a pot of water. You now see me just adjusting my camera because I can't see nothing. Just after I decided to put the bookcase down. I do remove one of these bookcases, the one on the left. My reasons why. There's a camera adjustment. The reason why is I wanted to put a organ here, but I didn't know how to do it. So I went to go for like a grand piano design, but I'll come back to that later on. In when I've had the idea of what I want to go for, I will change that. Now, putting a backed chair just here, a fancy back chair. We've decided to get some chiselled stone brick and put them into the trapdoor block. And I toyed with a different cross design, because this is like a Catholic church, but it's not. So I modified it to have another column, another row of across it. Now I am just changing all the orange wool to the city building material. It's a lot of blocks to input here, so that's probably why there's such a delay. Now getting marble pillars and all the pillar bits that you get with Conquest, all the different blocks. I toyed with the idea of putting them as in the corners, but I decided to go for the columns instead. And so then I want to still use more of them, but it depends on where I place them. So we removed the corner bits there. Now I've found the column parts. I slowly replaced the little pillars, column parts, but I've put down, instead of marble column rows, put down quartz column rows instead, which was awkward because I had to try to refine the actual block that I wanted. Now you see me just placing them properly now. I even thought about using them as a lintel across the door over here. Decided to change that. Replace it with the orange wool. Then I'm going to change the texture later on. On the outside, I'm getting stone glass paints. These aren't stone glass. These are panes for windows, Gothic window panes. It's just at the front. I've decided to put them there, but I had to put some slabs just so they join, but then it wasn't the best. Now above the doorway, you see me putting them there. More rain. Shows you how long this rain goes on for. Oh, I just moved my cameraman so you can see this tower. I decided to replace the blocks around the door with these columns, marble columns. Then decided to put them, see if I like them as the pillars, not the pillars, as the lintels above the windows. Didn't like that either, so I replaced them again. It took a lot of time just to see how I wanted to decorate this little church. But this is where I said I decided to modify it. I didn't really want to put anything here, but I had to. Just to make it a little less flat, I got the vertical stairs of each of the blocks in this mix, and I decided to add them onto the side. I did originally decided to put down vertical half slabs, but the windows panes wouldn't connect to them properly, so vertical stairs it was, and I decided to put them on the rest of the build. It's just to help with a bit of detail. It doesn't look right without it. It looks really flat without those there. So you see me just bracing the tower with these large columns. I'll come back in a bit with large marble slabs. I use those to separate each layer of this tower, thinking it would add a little bit more of a different contrast to the build. Then after that I decided to do a few layers of orange wool for that mix. See me now just placing the large marble slabs, and here's the orange wool for that mix. I do readjust my camera a bit, so I'm sorry if you can't see what I'm doing. Using the marble pillars. I'm using marble columns. Sorry, I'm using these to count how large each floor is. It actually looks a lot taller, this floor does, but it's not. It's the same size. It confused me a lot while I was building that tower. At first it didn't look right, then I had to recount it. Then the moment I put the window in, it looked a little bit better. It's I don't know, it was one of those decisions that really confused me. See me adding a window now, and you can now see that it is the same height, because the windows of these are 2x3s or 3x2s blocks, and they both match up with above the window it was 1 block, and underneath the window it's 2 blocks difference, and they're fine. They connect perfectly now. I think it just was that orange wall. It's made it completely different. It made the build look a lot larger than it did at floor of that tower. More large marble slabs went around the top. On this side I'm adding the marble column. So after that I actually added a little decoration with the vertical stairs. Then now you see me deciding how I'm going to do the roof. I was going to do the roof as I normally did with the rest of the build, but I had the idea of using the stairs blocks. Add something a little bit different, but it did not suit it whatsoever. Even with the mixture of using normal stairs. So I just wiped it all off. Plus it will add too much of a steep roof to it. But I wanted the roof very shallow, like the rest of the builds. Make it fit in with the theme. So you see me now using I think it's crayon slate. It has a nice green texture in for moss. I'm using slabs, the actual blocks themselves, as well as stairs, normal upside down stairs. And I'm slowly, layer by layer, adding that on. It's ever so slightly bevels because of having that extension to the main building. I think I'm going to have in that extension part of the church going to be where the choir, or where the stewards, is it the stewards? I don't know the actual terminology for this. But it's the people that will help the reverend or the vicar or the priest. It's where they will be sitting. So I had the idea of putting little canopies over the windows, but I decided not to. It looked too bulky, even though it adds more of a defined layer. Just did not look right. So remove those. Because faster and steep this got, I had to modify the It didn't get steep. It was steeper than the walls of the church was, so I had to modify the walls of the church and move them up again just to fit with the roof. Sorry about the crow in the background. Noisy creature. Okay. I've got most of one side done. At least that's a good thing. It's just the other side to do now. It's probably the longest thing to do with this, as it was very tedious. Making sure the roof looked right, even feels right. I'm so glad I finished it. I hate doing roofs. I honestly do. It's one of the worst things to do in Minecraft for me. You see me just cutting parts of this cliff out. But leaving most of it there. You see now I'm using white wool to fill in the gaps for the mist. I'm using that as a I'm not sure why I'm using that there to support the roof. It just adds more of a different character to the roof, I guess. I'm not sure really why I did that, but I've done it. So it's the rainwater will go flush off this cliff face straight onto the roof and straight off it. Just finishing off the last bit. And here we go. The church, and apparently the video's decided to pause itself. Inside the church, you see how it's going to look like. Slight flyby around the tower. I don't know why the video decided to play up then. And onto the balcony inside the cellar itself. You can see how dark and gloomy this is. Well, you can tell how gloomy it will be. Thank you for watching, and bye guys.